Okay, so I want to talk about masking in this lesson. So there's going to be situations where you want to mask off a graphic or a photo. You can see here in this layer, in this folder, you can see I have a mask. So what I want to do is I want to right click on this icon, right click and then go to disable layer mask. Now you can see that I just have a rectangle selection and a rectangle mask, I should say, that cuts off the ends of these layers. And these are just some layers, some rectangle layers that I threw in and then just used the transform tool to rotate that around and then applied this mask. So I can go back to enable mask in order to give me a pretty uniform and interesting look with these layers. So next, what I want to show you is how to actually create this mask. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this layer mask so we can just start over fresh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my marquee, my rectangle marquee tool, and I want to make a selection. And as I told you before, you can hold down your space bar and get it into a position where you're not going over the corners. So right down, right into the center here. And then you can always move this selection around too, just as long as you're within that marquee, kind of move it around. So I'm on the folder, not the layer, but on the folder of the layers. And now I can press this icon here, click on this icon, and it will add a layer mask to the folder. So everything that's within this folder is now being masked off. So depending on how many graphics that you have in here, and you want to cut that off, it will mask that off. So that's how you add in masks. Now, you keep in mind, you can do that for any type of selection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a new layer and I want to add in just go to a selection here and I'm going to fill in this layer, this selection with this color. So what I can then do is using all of the tools that I have here, if I want to use, say, the lasso tool, and I just want to do a little selection here, and then go to my layer, and then come down here where it says add mask, add layer mask, you can see that whatever's in that selection will now be masked off. So what I can also do is if I can undo, and what I can do is after I made that selection, I can go to select and then I can go to inverse and then add in a mask. Now it's going to take away, it's going to mask that off. Now keep in mind that you have this icon pops up when you add in the layer mask. You can see that we have this little keychain that is, or I shouldn't say keychain, but a chain link, and that means that these two parts are connected. The image itself, whatever graphic that you're masking, and then the mask. So if I click on that little link, now these are unlinked. So what I then can do is go to my move tool with this icon, this part selected, this little preview. Make sure you're not on the mask itself, but the graphic that you're masking. Now you can move this graphic, this image, and have it masked off. Now you can do the same, you can do the same thing with the folder. So if I go to my image as my folder, and then I move that around, you can see I can move these graphics, these layers within this mask. And then what I can then do is link that back up again. What I kind of like doing, and this is just my own workflow, you'll kind of find your own, but I like to use a folder with a mask as opposed to masking just this particular image. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with putting a mask on the layer that you want to mask. But there's lots of situations where I just want to have this mask, and now I can just simply move my graphics around and make adjustments knowing that this mask is still there. I don't really have to click any link in order to move something within that mask. I'm just masking just the folder, and then I can move things around within that in order to mask that off. So that's just my own process, but you can certainly use a layer mask on the folder or the layer.